The LA Lakers just made a signing with extremely high upside. So we're going to break down this signing, why the LA Lakers decided to go in this direction, as there's no hiding it, there's no getting around it. The Lakers have been hit seriously with the injury bug, and break down how this could impact the LA Lakers team, because while this sort of fulfills a short-term need for the LA Lakers, given the fact Christian Wood, the Vandalorian, a lot of guys are out with injury right now, but how long-term it could sneakily have a big impact on the LA Lakers if everything shakes out in the right direction. Again, a lot of things would have to go right, but let's dive into what's been going on, because a report has dropped from Shams The Athletic that indicates that the team has signed Harry Giles III. He's agreed to a two-way NBA contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are adding depth at the center position in the wake of injuries to Christian Wood as well as Colin Castleton. So this is an intriguing signing, because if you're not familiar with Harry Giles III, he is a guy that came into the NBA with lots of hype. Now, the other thing that's attached to him along with hype is a serious injury history. Has dealt with a lot of knee injuries, has dealt with just a lot of lower body stuff that really has derailed his NBA career. But if we look back to sort of his high school era, he's regarded as one of the top high school players really ever. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but definitely one of the most hyped up during that era of Ball's Life, hoop mixtapes, sort of highlight reels. Harry Giles was a guy that was looked at as one of the top prospects in his class, and even in the NBA. After dealing with a bunch of injuries at Duke in high school, got drafted in the first round, and showed flashes of absolute greatness while he was in the NBA, but again, injuries really held him back over the course of his career. But who is Harry Giles? Who could he come in, and why does this make sense to the LA Lakers? Because I've seen a lot of talk, a lot of chatter being like, oh, the Lakers are dealing with injuries. Why on earth would we be bringing in an injury sort of prone player to fix everything that's going on, to fortify that front court? Well, again, that makes sense. It's a valid criticism. Harry Giles could very easily be a guy that just isn't sturdy enough to really get a lot of opportunities to stay out there on the court. However, this season, after taking a couple years off, he came back to the NBA, got signed with the Brooklyn Nets on a two-way contract, and in preseason early on in the year, looked really solid, and the intangibles are there for Harry Giles. He's a guy that defensive versatility is serious. He's like 6'11", we can look at his sort of size and profile, 6'11", 25 years old right now, but again, hasn't played that many NBA games over the course of his career, but defensive versatility is serious with Harry Giles. He can move, he can sort of, guard switchable across the court defensively, can bring a lot on the defensive end for the LA Lakers, block shots, be mobile, switch onto guards. He's elite in that area. And then on the offensive end, with his lanky frame, with his long frame, he can finish around the rim. He has a soft touch around the basket, can even extend out to the mid-range. Not going to be hitting threes, I don't think, for Harry Giles out there for the LA Lakers, but he's a player that definitely just, if he's out there on the court, is very, very capable, is very, very strong. And even, during the course of his NBA career with the Portland Trailblazers, with the Sacramento Kings and stuff, as a 20-year-old sort of rookie, averaged 7 points per game, 4 rebounds. Again, not a lot of minutes per night. His minutes were kind of restricted and things like that, but was efficient, around the basket. Started to hit a couple threes here and there with the Nets and the Portland Trailblazers. I still don't expect him to be an elite three-point shooter by any means, but definitely a player that can score around the basket, can play defense, can do a lot of things out there that if he's healthy, if he has the opportunity, again, definitely this season it would be limited minutes, in a limited minute stretch, especially with Christian Wood and these types of guys out. And definitely a proper NBA caliber basketball player. Definitely a guy that can insert himself into a lineup and be very, very capable. Now, will his body hold up to even be playing 10 minutes per night? Probably not. But the LA Lakers need some spot minutes right now. They need someone to be able to hold it down, because the end of the season, there's no real time to waste. There's no real time for the LA Lakers to sort of take off games or lose games, because it is a tight race out there in the Western Conference right now here at this point. I mean, the Lakers are 10th in the Western Conference, basically tied with the Golden State Warriors in terms of games back, a little bit behind in overall record percentage, but they can easily catch the Dallas Mavericks, the Sacramento Kings, if they go on a little win streak here now, for over March, over April, and maybe even only 3 games back, the Phoenix Suns, the New Orleans Pelicans. If the Lakers can really just not have any serious holes, if they can just keep things at a certain level and make their way up out of the Western Conference, if they can make that push to get out of the play-in tournament, that is exactly what LA wants to happen. But if you're dealing with injuries, especially all at a similar position, in that front line, Vandalorian, Christian Wood, our front court depth is depleted there. And then Anthony Davis is obviously a player that, he's on the day-to-day list pretty well every game. So, having Harry Giles that can just be in there, give some spot minutes, give some breathers to guys like Anthony Davis, Jackson Hayes, whoever is out there, on the court, then it's a guy that makes sense. It's not one of those two-way guys that's just in a prospect. Even though I'd still consider him a prospect, even though he's 25 years old because he hasn't played that many games. But when he's actually out there on the court, he is a formidable force in the front court for LA. He's a guy that can be an NBA quality basketball player. The question isn't whether or not he's capable of, going out there on the court in bigger games, in bigger moments, the LA Lakers are currently in right now, but it's whether or not he can stay on the court. And I guess you're taking a risk along those lines, but the Lakers, especially this time of year after most of the buyout market guys have been selected, Muscala would have been an interesting piece to bring in for LA, but he ended up signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But if LA brings in a player that has shown, hey, he's been capable at the NBA level in the past when he's healthy. And he seems to be healthy right now from everything that we're reading, everything along those lines. So giving him spot minutes to where the quality of play won't completely drop off, where, it's a prospect with high upside because, if he gets fully healthy, especially over the course of this offseason, maybe we're talking next year, he's a proper sort of rotation piece for the Lakers. That might be a bit of optimism, might be a bit of optimistic thinking, but again, we know the potential that this guy has over the course of his career. But just in the short term, as a player that is capable when healthy of being a solid caliber NBA front court player, that's exactly what the LA Lakers need right now with players sort of in and out of the lineup, the questions regarding injuries, and everything along those lines. And LA's been good lately. There's been a few wins, beat New Orleans, who, it's a big win given the fact that they're a team chasing, to get out of the play-in tournament. The Pistons, obviously the Jazz needed to win. Nice to get that Golden State win. Nice to get that Phoenix win, but beat the Spurs, beat the Clippers, beat the Wizards. Solid performances from LA, and there's some tough games coming up. Denver, Oklahoma City, and the Sacramento Kings. All those games, I wouldn't say they're must win for the LA Lakers because it seems like that LA is going to be in that play-in tournament regardless, but getting those wins would build up some momentum, will build up some of that sort of hype leading into those playoff moments. Because again, LA is a team that in theory, regardless of their seeding, regardless of what's going on, should be feared in the Western Conference. Any team with LeBron, any team with AD, any team with this championship caliber sort of background should be feared. Now, obviously, anything can happen in the play-in. The Lakers could easily get knocked out, especially if they have to win 2 games, to get into the playoffs. But getting out of that play-in is ideal for LA, but it's going to be a tough road, and fortifying that front court with an acquisition of Harry Giles, regardless of the future potential upside, I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart acquisition by Rob Pelinka in order to fortify that court as things sort of shake out and enter into probably a really important stretch, the LA Lakers, to close off this season. But let me know what you guys think about this signing in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.